Peace and blessings, everyone. This is Dr. Thomas in for another installment of Resilience Matters. We are blessed today to have Natalie Thomas with us. She is a CNA right outside the Chicago area where I myself was born and raised. And I could probably do the introduction to this young lady myself, as she has been my best friend since I was 9 years old. But I will allow her to talk a little bit about herself. Why did you choose nursing?
So nursing was actually probably my fourth, fifth, or last choice. I originally wanted to be a lawyer. Then I said, no, we'll try engineering. And I went through some other things, and then nursing became it for me. I'm a nurturer. I'm a helper. And I could do that with my eyes closed, basically.
So this is something that just kind of goes with who you are.
Yes.
Okay. So that means you put yourself in a situation where people are paying you to be Natalie Thomas.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's wonderful. Now, my understanding is you have worked in facilities near and around the Chicago area for a little while. So you definitely have some experience there. So tell us a little bit about what some of the stressors were for nurses like yourself before the pandemic.
So before the pandemic, a big stressor is your staffing. We can always go in and assume or expect to have help, but that's not always the case. A lot of times we do work short, as in there should be maybe 6 of us on the floor, and you're like, okay, good, we got 6 today. No, wrong. We'll have 4. We may have 3. In some cases, we'll have 2. In one experience of mine, I was the only person who came to work that day. So we had to call people to come in. We had to get the management team on the floor. So we had the DON, we had some of the nurses, we had we had to call temp services in, because there was no way I would be able to take care of, I think we had about 50 patients on the floor.
Okay, that's quite a bit.
Yeah. And everyone is heavy, so it was just impossible.
Okay, so for those people, like what would you have to do? Like, what is your actual job when you walk into somebody's room?
Okay, so I come in, I take vitals. Before COVID, it was only blood pressure and pulse respirations. Then you have to either reposition someone who's bedbound. We change them, clean them up, and then people who get up on a regular basis, if they're not able to get up without assistance, you have to get them up. And sometimes it could take one person or two people.
Okay. So sometimes you're doing things that a lot of us who would think normal medical procedures, but then some of it is lifting and turning and cleaning, and that's just part of your everyday. I'm imagining what it was like when you were expecting 5 other people there to help you, and you showed up and it was just you. I'm having a feeling in my mind, knowing what it means to manage and supervise people, that they were still expecting that all 50 of those people would have been touched before your shift was over that day.
Well, in that case, what happened, I don't think I got help till like 10 o'clock that day. My shift starts at 6:30.
Okay.
So I had the DON, I had nurses. They were doing like I'll say what we call easy people, the people that just need to stand and pivot a little bit, and you can just kind of help them in the chair. But I was doing heavy lifting, as in I need to use a machine to assist with getting them up.
Okay.
Because they still have to pass meds, they still have to do their own work, but they were still trying to help me as much as they could until I got some help. Yeah, it's hard.
Before COVID, there was always this personnel issue that led to other issues within the organization of just you guys being like chronically overworked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's go back now to early 2020, and this pandemic hits. One of the things that I know is that it hit the senior facilities really hard all over the country. So why don't you tell me how this pandemic further exacerbated the issues that you had to deal with on a day-to-day basis?
So I'll give you a little backstory. I worked at one of the facilities that hit the news with we had, I think, the first few cases of COVID in our facility.
Okay.
It was, it was terrible. Immediately people stopped going to work. They just stopped coming in. They were.
So wait. You're already short-staffed.
Yes.
To begin with.
Right.
And it was not uncommon for half of the staff to not be there on any given day.
Correct.
And now they're just, even those people are just not coming to work.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So they just, because I worked on one of those units where there was COVID. I even had to stop going to work for the 14 days because they said we had been exposed, so we weren't able to even come back to work, even though I didn't have symptoms or anything like that. So for us to already be understaffed, and then you have the staff that usually comes to work on time all the time, to not be there, I'm sure it was really bad. But yeah, that's one of the really stressful times because it went public, so it hit the news. So we couldn't even get people, like our temp services, they wouldn't even come in. And we were on the news, for the whole week. It was every day they were saying something new, or this has happened, or like we had a couple of deaths. It was just bad.
Now, how many cases of COVID were there at that facility at that time?
We had a whole unit.
So is that
would be about, I think, on that unit, because I had only worked up there a couple times. That wasn't my regular unit. I think it was about 20 something cases.
Mm-hmm. So and then, a unit, is that just like one floor or something?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody on that floor
pretty much had it, except for a few people, and they moved those few people who didn't have it down to my unit that I usually work on. And then when I came back, that's when my whole unit had it. So that was about 50 something people.
How do you stay safe during all of that?
Well, that was an issue because we didn't have a lot of PPE. So we were kind of limited, and we did have the N95 mask. We did have the face shields. Some had goggles. Then we also had the disposable gowns. But it got to a point where we ran out of disposable gowns. We ran out of masks. So we had to, and I know you're not supposed to do that, but, and this is probably going on in a lot of facilities still, you have to continue to use the mask you have. With the disposable gowns, you have to kind of tuck it away somewhere so that you can come back the next morning and use it all over again. And that was just at the beginning. So, because at this point now, they're kind of issuing more supplies to everybody in PPE.
What is the impact or potential impact on your family if you yourself are exposed?
So, as you know, in our case, I have a daughter who has special needs. I have 2 who do have severe asthma, and I have 1 who has another condition. So they're all compromised if I'm exposed, pretty much. Luckily that hasn't been the case. I haven't had it. I test twice a week, and my test results have always been negative. I don't know what, I don't even know what I would do if they got it. Well, even my daughter anyway, but you know, the 2 boys have already had it.
Yeah. What I'm thinking of is, as a single parent, if you got it, like, how do you quarantine and still like raise your children, you know? Because
Luckily,
you can't just stay in your room for 2 weeks,
right,
and let them fend for themselves.
right. And luckily, in my case, I have great support. You know, mom and dad are the best. So the small kids are with them. And I think that's what they would have to do if I was exposed to it. They would probably have to go stay with my mom and dad, and because I think they would be safe there.
Okay. Well, shout out to the Thomas parents.
Right.
So the name of this program is Resilience Matters, and it's about dealing with difficulty and springing back. So what are some of the things that you do to help stay safe, to stay sane, to blow off steam, whatever it is that you do? Like, what does that entail?
Well, to stay safe, I do have to disinfect my home and myself all the time.
You're not
As in,
beach, are you?
no. As in, come in the house and literally I have to take off my uniform, my shoes. It has to go straight to the machine to wash. I have to shower. And then I have to, like, I even have to disinfect my car because they do get in and out of my car. I disinfect everywhere in the house. Then to kind of stay sane, I don't go out much because of COVID, but I can sit back and watch a movie and just all that, it's just a stress reliever, really. And I might go out on the weekend, maybe with a couple friends, and we might have drinks, but that's it. We don't do much because of COVID. And I'm kind of like the COVID police. So,
Well, you can't do that right now in the Chicago area anyway. Isn't everything kind of shut down there?
yeah, we kind of go to Indiana where it's open.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or we'll just go buy drinks and bring them home. Like, we don't do too much.
Okay. Although I am to understand by one of your children's caregivers that the roller skating rinks in the suburbs are still open.
Why, yes, they are. They are.
Okay. The last question I think I want to ask is more about the institutions that you guys work for.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they can do to reduce the amount of stress that the employees face on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so where I work currently, they're working on getting us more staff. And when we don't have staff, I know this isn't much, but we do get like supplemental pay is what they call it. So they'll pay us a little extra because we had to work a little harder because we had, more patients. Because I think on a daily basis lately, I've had between 15 and 20 patients a day. So we get like a few dollars extra. They try to help out as much as they can. As in they'll come and work the floor for a little bit, at least the early morning part of the shift, like, because that's the hardest part, just getting everybody up and situated. So they try to help out then, and then we kind of are on our own after that. But currently they're working on getting us more staff because that's what we need help.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you for spending this time with us today. I also just want to thank you for doing what you do. My job at this present moment and the organization that I run is 100% online. It's just not necessary for me to interact with the general public like you guys do. And for me, that's one of the reasons why this is important, is because there are dedicated men and women like yourself who are out there every day taking care of us and our loved ones and risking themselves and their own families. So we try and do as much as we can to support you guys. So I want to thank you. And I'm hoping that we can get you back here within the next month or so with some of your colleagues and have a nice panel discussion about some of these issues. So again, thank you to everybody out there watching and listening. I want to thank you and remind you guys that you matter and your resilience matters. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.